let's talk about Mike Williams coming to the Browns to reunite with Deshaun Watson, as the Clemson Tigers duo had a phenomenal career in college, and maybe they could rekindle that in the pros. So if you're a little unfamiliar as to how we got here, this is sort of a deep Twitter rumor, which we're going to unpack in just a moment. But free agency is just around the corner, so make sure you are subscribed to the channel, because we're going to be getting a whole bunch of free agency news and rumors over the next couple of weeks, and I don't want you to miss a thing. So help us reach our next milestone of 33,500 subscribers. We are 85 subs away. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of this rumor, because this photo right here was tweeted out by Chops. Now, if you're not on Twitter or on Browns Twitter, you might not know who that is, but he's an excellent Browns Twitter follower, and he's pretty well tapped in with Cleveland as well. So Chops tweeted that out. And hey, people tweet out all sorts of stuff during free agency. But then Mary Kay Cabot retweeted that. So now I got two people that are pretty well in the know with Berea and what's going on with the Browns, maybe hinting at Mike Williams reuniting with Deshaun Watson in Cleveland. I'm going to give this one two Bernie heads, right? I think we are a level above just shreds of truth, people throwing shit at the wall, seeing if it sticks. I've got two people that are well tapped in with the Browns, maybe doing a little bit of eyeball emojis, but it's just Twitter right now, and ultimately, this is what free agency is. A lot of teams wanting a lot of players, but not everyone gets their guy. So I'm not going to run with this all the way and say this is a guarantee, it's a done deal, it's going to happen. Now, let's talk a little bit about Mike Williams, because you might be thinking to yourself, I don't think he's a free agent. And he's not a free agent. But the issue is he comes off a torn ACL, and he's got a $32 million cap hit for 2024. Even if Mike Williams was one of the best wide receivers in football, the Chargers were not going to let him stick on their roster with a $32 million cap hit, which means they either restructure or extend him. Now, he's entering the last year of his contract, so there's not a whole lot of restructuring options. His dead cap hit, by the way, if they were to move on from him, is just $12.4 million, and they could save $20 million. So financially, it makes a ton of sense for the Chargers with a new head coach and a new GM to go a different direction, since they are over the salary cap and can save $20 million by moving on from a player like Mike Williams, who is coming off a torn ACL and has been a bit of a roller coaster for the Chargers ever since he was a first-round pick of theirs back in 2017. However, I have some concerns, because on paper, this sounds like a fun idea, right? They were awesome together at Clemson. The Browns need another wide receiver. He's a big body wide receiver. It should be a perfect fit. However, here are my concerns. One, he's missed 18 games over the last two seasons, and he's coming off a torn ACL. So there is something to look at there. Secondly, he turns 30 years old in October, which I don't think he's going to completely fall off a cliff once he turns 30 in October. But if you are looking for someone for just more than 2024, I'm not sure he's your guy. And most importantly, I would say, he is not a speed demon type of receiver. He's a big-bodied 6'4" receiver that relies on his now banged-up body that is coming off a couple of injuries, a back injury in 2022, a torn ACL in 2023. So two important parts of the human body that have been banged up the last two seasons, and that's where he makes his bread and butter, with that 6'4" frame. So add that with the injury history lately and the age climbing up, and I'm not quite sure Mike Williams is the guy that people might think he could be in Cleveland. But there's no denying that him and Deshaun Watson had a fantastic connection. They really only played one season together in Clemson. Mike Williams missed a full season pretty much with an injury. But in that 2016 year, 98 grabs, 1,300 yards, 11 touchdowns. Now, I do want to dispel this idea that Mike Williams is always injury prone. If you look at his NFL career through 7 seasons, his first and his most recent season, he has missed time. But in between that, didn't miss a game in 2018. He missed one game in 19, 20, and 2021. In 2022, he missed 4 games, and that's what's been leading up to him missing more time. Now, it's a real bummer that Williams suffered a torn ACL, because that's never a good thing. But he was off to a really strong start to the season, right? He went down in week 3, but through 2.5 games or so, he accumulated 249 yards and 1 touchdown and 19 receptions. So Williams was looking to have one of his best seasons yet. In fact, if you look at the best stretch of his NFL career, it's that 2019 to 2022 stretch where he had 2,000-plus seasons, and he picked up a bunch of touchdowns, right? I mean, look at the before 2023, from 2020 to 2022, the guy had, 18 touchdowns over that 3-year stretch? So Mike Williams had played some really good football. He played his best football in 2021. Remember, the Browns played at the Chargers in that shootout game, and Stefanski kind of botched the end of the first half, and there was an awful offensive pass interference call. Well, Mike Williams was a big part of the Chargers torching that John Johnson Brown secondary. So keep an eye on Mike Williams, no doubt, but ultimately I've got some concerns. Now, I do want to get your opinion on this. What do you guys think about just the idea of adding Mike Williams? The Browns could trade for him since he is not a free agent, but ultimately I don't think Cleveland will. They'll wait for him to hit the free agency market. However, they didn't wait for Amari Cooper, so I wouldn't say it's a 0% chance they trade for him, but in all likelihood, they'll wait for Williams to be released by the Chargers and then pursue him as a free agent, because they definitely don't want to have Mike Williams' contract for 2024 on their books, as opposed to Amari Cooper's contract, where Cooper was still very productive and very healthy when they traded for him, so they didn't mind taking on that 5-year, $100 million contract. Do not expect the same for Mike Williams. I think this will be a free agent signing if/when he is released by the Chargers. Now, next up on the show, we're going to talk about some more free agent wide receivers the Browns could look at in case they don't go with Mike Williams, which I'll kind of wrap it up with this. I think Mike Williams does fit the mold of what Cleveland is looking for to complement Deshaun Watson's strength, a big body type of wide receiver he can chuck it up to when he's extending plays. I also think they might have learned from their mistake last year of not pursuing DeAndre Hopkins more when he was very effective with Watson down in Houston. So maybe they try and overcorrect by going with a college teammate of his, but I don't think what Deshaun Watson and Mike Williams did in 2016 should have much influence on what the Browns want to do in 2024. That was nearly a decade ago. Let's look at what Mike Williams has done the last 2 years and not what he did 8 seasons ago in college when they were going up against Boston College DBs. Next up on the show, we're going to talk about those free agent wide receivers. But first, let me give you guys a little bit of a taste of our sponsor today, which is Game Time. If you are looking for tickets to your favorite sporting event or a concert or a comedy show, whatever it may be, use Game Time because they are giving you all $20 off when you download the Game Time app and redeem code BROWNSCHAT. So if you want to see a Cavs game or a concert or anything else, make sure you use our promo code on screen right now, BROWNSCHAT, to get $20 off. I view it as, before you even get to the arena, the venue, Game Time with $20 off, they're going to cover your parking. They're going to cover your first concession stand run. So if you're going to go to something, wouldn't you rather save $20 than not have $20? It seems like a no-brainer to me. So download the Game Time app and redeem that code BROWNSCHAT for $20 off. I put all that information in the comments and description of today's video. So shout out to Game Time for supporting the Cleveland Browns Report. It's the place for last-minute tickets at the lowest price guaranteed. Since we're talking wide receivers, it does feel right to at least share the wide receiver depth chart for the Browns, where they don't have any free agents. They just need an upgrade, right? If you want to contend in the AFC, if you want to hang with the best of the best, you're going to need some firepower to take down Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. And after Amari Cooper, we have some question marks, right? I don't think Elijah Moore, David Bell, and Cedric Tillman are an awful cast of wide receivers 2, 3, and 4. But again, the Browns' goals are not to be competitive in 2024. Their goal is to win playoff games. And so you may look to upgrade at the wide receiver position to do so. So who are some other free agent wide receivers? We've talked about Mike Evans a bunch. We've done previous videos on him. You're more than welcome to go check him out but on our other videos. But for now, we'll keep that conversation light. I think T. Higgins gets franchise tagged. I think the Colts will pursue to keep Mike Pittman in Indianapolis, but they might get priced out since Indianapolis has never been historically a big spending team in free agency at wide receiver. Calvin Ridley is definitely a name to watch for, along with Gabriel Davis, so those are 2 names to keep an eye on. But let's talk about maybe some of the lower-priced free agents, because I think those top 5 names on the left are going to run you a bill north of $10 million a season. Whereas a guy like Darnell Mooney is going to be a much more affordable option. He was the Bears' number one wide receiver for a season, went over 1,000 yards, and then just didn't really fit well in the Justin Fields-led offense. Kind of fell off the last 2 years. If you're wondering where you know this name from, this is the Bears wide receiver that dropped the Hail Mary against the Browns. Okay, so that's one name to watch for. Another name is KJ Osborne. Now, he has been with the Minnesota Vikings. Kevin Stefanski was with the Minnesota Vikings, but not together. KJ Osborne got there shortly after Kevin Stefanski left. So there's no connection between the two, but he was the Vikings' number 3 wide receiver. So if the Browns are looking to upgrade in the slot a little bit, this could be an option, although I don't think that's what they're looking to do. They've got that kind of covered off with Elijah Moore or David Bell or David Njoku in terms of attacking in between the hash marks. One more name to keep an eye on that's a little bit of a lower price bargain free agent, Curtis Samuel. He's kind of been a journeyman throughout his NFL career, but the former Ohio State Buckeye, I'm sure, would love to come back to his old stomping grounds as he comes off a really good season when he wasn't even Washington's number 1 or number 2 target with 613 yards and 4 touchdowns. He's got some great speed to his game, so that could definitely complement Amari Cooper on the opposite side of the field very nicely. So those are 3 free agent bargain receivers to keep an eye on that maybe Cleveland decides to shop for instead of spending big for a Mike Evans or a Calvin Ridley or a Michael Pittman Jr. Now, as for some guys that are not free agents but could potentially become free agents, here are some more cut candidates just like Mike Williams. Hunter Renfrow, Tim Patrick, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, Allen Robinson, a pair of Cowboys and Michael Gallup and Brandin Cooks, and then Russell Gage for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, one name that jumps out of this list here is Hunter Renfrow. Similar to Mike Williams, of course, he's got the connection with Deshaun Watson, winning a national championship together from their days in Clemson. Now, he had a breakout year for the Raiders in 2021, but then major regression the last 2 years. I'm not really all that interested in Hunter Renfrow. Like, we got to stop trying to open the yearbook and go back to 2016 and think, well, if we just get the band back together. No, like, Hunter Renfrow had a nice season with Clemson, with Deshaun Watson in Clemson, but are we really about to drive free agency decisions in 2024 because of college stats from 2016? I understand you want to make a quarterback comfortable, but let's not just pick their best friends. That didn't really work out very well for the Aaron Rodgers and the Jets this past season, just trying to recreate the old band. No, go get the best players. And if they are great players in 2024, Deshaun Watson's not going to care if you played college football with them nearly a decade ago. So let me know, which wide receiver do you want to see Cleveland add? Whether it's through free agency, trade, who is the number one guy that you feel like if the Browns go out and get him, they're going to have a lot of success in 2024. To wrap up today's show, we're going to pick a card. We have producer Cullen back with us today. Cullen, I can't wait to see how you land on your card selection.
All right. So, man of the hour was Mike Williams.
Okay.
8 plus 1.
Yep.
9.
Okay, that's true.
So, I'm going with 9. And we talked about a reunion, so I feel like that's just something you do with your heart. So, 9 of hearts. Keeping it simple.
9 of hearts. I'm going to go with the Queen of Diamonds. 4 hearts. 4 hearts for Deshaun. All right, you're in the right spot, though. That will do it for us on today's show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we will catch up with you all later.